Welcome to another video. New patch, new gear, new Desperius gear compendium, right? And oh boy, there's a lot to cover this time, maybe more than ever before. But of course, let us start chronologically from the lowest available item level to the highest. And as some items and currency have been exchanged, we also have to cover some old gear that might be interesting to some of you for catching up with item levels. First of all, Elegant Tomestones of Astronomy have been dumped down from their weekly capped spot and now reside as the equivalents to experience points, received for nearly all dailies you can find in Duty Finder, as well as rewarded for nearly all endgame content. However, you should note that there's definitely good gil value to be found in these tomestones. Due to how expensive the crafter ingredients still are, you can exchange against 20 astronomy each, so if gil is your top priority, consider using them for crafter materials. After that, and if you haven't caught up with gear in the last weeks or month, you can get all the previous Radiant gear from Astronomy tomestones now. Also without any weekly limitations, but the upgrading materials are received in usual way, so we got 590 on the normal version and 600 on the upgraded one, still being the best way to catch up right now. But of course, for another new solid way to catch up, I highly recommend to visit the new dungeon of 6.2, the Fell Court of Troia, that will offer item level 595 gear. Which is not anywhere close to recent crafter gear or raid gear from Abyssos, but still a solid way to catch up and get started with brand new content. However, compared to crafted gear, which is called Rinascita gear, that offers an item level of whopping 610 that can also be pentamelted, leading to a much higher value than the item levels normally indicate, this looks like a small fish indeed. So, however you might have worked yourself into 6.2's crafting, these are still hella expensive, and I can only recommend to keep waiting for the prices to drop in the next couple of days. Nonetheless, if you want to know more about that, check out my macros for crafting these, all of which can be found in the description. Otherwise, I highly recommend to get started with the new Abyssos questline and raid series, which can be done in Labyrinthos by talking to Claudian, that again will require you to go back to Elpis to meet up with your friends from the past, that are involved in the mysteries of Pandemonium. Here again, for each part consisting of 4 circles, you can receive 1 token per week, that can be exchanged against gear from Jolie, that Viera lady being your go-to source for all things Pandemonium equipment. And speaking of which, this not only offers an item level of 610, but also the first burning shoulders in Final Fantasy XIV. Yes, this might not be a design for everyone, but I'm glad to see something very over the top, rounding up the glamour versatility of this game even further. I mean, just check out those casting pieces here. Amazing.
Nice.
But back to the tokens. Each token will have an exchange value depending on the set piece it trades against, where chest and trousers have the highest with 4 tokens in total, so an entire run of these raids, while boots, hands and helm require 2 tokens each, and last but not least a single token for accessories. Also note that not every sort of token drops on every boss. Therefore check out the console games wiki page, do not waste your weekly rolls on the wrong token as I did, because the last boss doesn't offer one required for helm pieces, which I needed. That being said, if you're planning to catch up to item level 610 as fast as possible, accessories grant the highest benefit. But I'm definitely going for the hot glamour stuff here, no second thought about it.
Get me to the boiling point!
And just before coming to tomestone gear and weapons, there's a new trial which in its extreme version offers item level 615 weapons, that serve as a connection between the crafted and normal tomestone gear, but without the time gated aspect. So these might come in handy when you want a simple upgrade over the crafted weapons. For high-end raiders wanting to prepare as best as possible, this might be a must-have for week 1 or week 2 clears of the last Savage boss, but as these are usually not concerned with videos like that, let me tell you, the difference between the extreme trial weapon and crafted weapons isn't that much, so maybe just take whatever you can get and do the trial for fun mostly. Alright, on the next step we can find the current tomestone gear, which will require you to collect weekly capped Elegant Tomestones of Causality, that you can get through all sorts of endgame content, but who are capped to 450 every week. So choose wisely which of these nasty level 620 Lunar and Void gear pieces you want to get first. On top of that, the last part of the new normal Abyssos raid version will offer Unsung Blades of Abyssos, that you can exchange against another ultralight tomestone that together with Causality tomestones will get you a 620 weapon. Note that these as well as the gear pieces can be upgraded, either by currency that will come with further patches and updates, but first from the Savage part of Abyssos that will open its gates next week. Last but not least, there's nothing to be found yet, but on Joel again, our best friend when it comes to 8-man raid gear for all tiers, she will offer equipment for exchange tokens that can be received from the Savage version of Abyssos, in the same manner as you're used to. Accessory pieces on the first boss, rising upwards with each challenge you beat, up to the final boss offering weapons and armor pieces, as well as the respective tokens. Just note that you can only roll on one item with each clear, which differs from the normal difficulty level where one loot per section is guaranteed. But whatever you do, I highly recommend to just leave Jolie a visit and make yourself familiar with all the different tokens and exchange values. Of course, there are a couple of new glamour additions as well, so check out the market board and content creators of your trust to know about the latest fashion and what you really need to prepare for the Savage Raid next week. Just remember what Emmett said, without sexy glam, no boss is beaten as easy as ham. I think he said something like that. So, stick around for more 6.2 content, and if you haven't done so already, it would mean the world to me if you'd subscribe to my channel. Until we meet again in another video, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep loving Final Fantasy.